Hello, this is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous coming to you to speak with someone who's going to give us some information that may be very, very helpful. I know many people that I work with after we finish the support group or the divorce is finished and they've worked on their healing, they say, what now? Where do I go from now? From here? And so I have some materials, but I also have someone here who's going to speak to us about what is a life coach and how can it help you after divorce. So joining me today is Annaliese Seaborn.
Thanks so much for having me. Hi.
Oh, I love it. I love that you're here, and I love this conversation for us just to gain a better understanding to consider maybe I'm stuck here, or maybe I just don't know how to proceed
Mhm.
from here, and
Mhm.
how a life coach might help me. So I'll put this up for now and I'll share it again later, but this is her contact information. And so, I really didn't even introduce you, Annalise. Why don't you tell us exactly what you do before we get into the interview?
Nice. Yeah, no problem. So I'm Annaliese Seaborn. I am a life design coach. I have been coaching since 2018 officially, but probably a lot of the work that I was doing with people before that fit a little bit into that category. It mattered to me once I decided, man, coaching is powerful work. Once I was like feeling that and feeling myself getting to help people on a better level, a deeper level, a more professional level, just because I was learning more, I was researching more about coaching and the specific type of conversation that a coaching conversation is with somebody who's trained. I was like, I definitely need to get certified. And I know that the life coaching industry is not standardized. So you'll have a lot of people kind of calling themselves a coach, which is fine. It's just like, kind of do your research, do your homework. So I did that for myself and I got coached by certified coaches and there was like a big difference to me. So I was like, I definitely need to go that route. So I pursued it and my coaching business, I call it Wake Your Dream Coaching. And that's because I realized God had so much more for me in my adult life than I had ever pictured for myself. I was not super clear on the career path that I wanted. I had done a lot of different things, and there was some meaning in each of those things that I did, but it wasn't like helping people directly. And at one point, I had actually thought that I wanted to go into therapy. So I was pursuing grad school for marriage and family therapy at one point, and then that ball totally stopped rolling. And I just remember thinking, what? Like, God, what are you doing? Like, I have clarity for the first time. I think that I want to do this. I think that I want to help people this way. And he kind of gave me a weight, trust me. I was doing things out of order, actually, because I hadn't fully healed from a really dysfunctional relationship that had taken up a lot of my 20s. I was rushing things. That's kind of my personality. I've realized that your personality matters a lot too in what you do, and in what you pursue and how you go about your life. So just he had a lot of things he wanted to kind of rearrange for me and sort of put in order. And so when I said okay, I said yes to him. I was very frustrated and angry, have to be totally honest, right? Like I felt kind of derailed from the path that I thought I was supposed to go on. But I said yes to him. I was willing to let him take me, and he took me step by step and gave me healing and gave me better clarity. And then coaching came back on my radar, and I was like, I think that I want to do that. And honestly, I've never looked back. Like, I don't have FOMO about therapy or counseling. It's amazing services, but just a totally different energy. And so I just love the work I get to do. He woke my dream up inside of me and showed me that I get to help people. I get to help women wake up their dream too. There's something more in you, and you get to pursue that as unlikely as it seems with your circumstances or anything that you're going through. So, wake your dream is just feel like it's his promise to you, to live your abundant life really practically in your actual life. And you got to get out of your own way, which is what coaching is for. But man, it is a powerful transformative
Awesome.
experience. Yeah.
And you are so easy to talk with. I
Mm,
just adore you as
mm,
a friend and fellow server of
mm.
and helping people. So
Thank you
you're
very
just so easy to be around. So let's go through these
much.
questions just to
Mhm.
help people understand
Yeah.
what they're going to gain out of it and let's start with what exactly is a life coach?
Yeah. So, in my experience, a life coach is somebody that has expertise, that has learned how to kind of remove themselves and really put you in the driver's seat. If you're the one having the conversation with a life coach, you should feel like you're in the driver's seat. And that specifically is that's a really powerful thing to feel because I feel like anybody that we have conversations with in our life about what's going on in our life, anybody probably has a little bit of a bias, something they might be pushing us toward doing, something they might be trying to give us advice for. A life coach is somebody that's really trained to honor the fact that you need to voice things that you maybe haven't voiced in any other conversation.
Mhm.
They're honoring the fact you were made to be in charge of your life. You were made to be the decision maker. You have experiences and tools and skills and talents in you that you might not be tapping into when it comes to the situation you're trying to work through or the struggle that you're trying to work through or the change that you're trying to proactively make, the goals that you want to achieve. A life coach is somebody that says, I know you know more than you even think. Let me help you pull it out. Let's put it on the table.
Mm,
So it's
I
very
love
exciting.
I love that. So how would I benefit from having a life coach? I know a lot of people are asking.
Yes. And I wondered that too before I got coaching and kind of like experienced what that conversation was like. You'd benefit a lot by, like, kind of like I said before, having that conversation in a totally different way than you've had it before. Right.
Mhm,
So you're going to be answering questions that you've maybe never even asked yourself.
mm,
And you're
mhm,
going to be shocked, honestly, at the amount of insight and discernment and clarity in you that comes out of you in that life coaching conversation. And over the course of your work with a life coach, you get to have a safe person who really understands the inner working of, like, how does growth even happen,
mm,
right? How does growth happen in a way that sticks for me, that actually changes something in my life? Like, I want to know I can trust myself to follow through even when I don't have my life coach anymore. And
mhm.
that's a huge benefit of having a good life coach, is somebody that's going to walk with you as you learn how to do life from a brand new, like, vantage point for yourself in a sustainable way. Yeah.
And I love the people who I always say I'm the queen of questions, and I know
Mhm.
as well. When you ask those questions that people have never asked themselves
Yeah.
before, it's like, wow, I never thought about that before.
Yeah.
It really does enlighten something inside of them.
It
To
does. Can I actually ask one right now? Just This is just an example of a question you might not have answered for yourself.
Mhm,
When is the last time that you felt on purpose?
mhm. What a great question.
And again, that's not something, right, like, you have to answer right now, but it's an experience. I want you to feel yourself.
Mhm.
When is the last time that you felt on purpose, right? So it's questions like that that get you to, like, look at yourself in a way that matters in a different way. Yeah.
Because I always use the term in my support groups and when I am also coaching people, it's like, do you feel like you're a reflex to your own life?
Oh, yeah.
And many of us do. We feel
Yes.
I'm just responding to everything. I'm not making any intentional plans or focus. I'm
Yep.
just responding to try to keep things alive.
Totally. It does. Our brains to just shift us into survival mode a lot quicker than we even know. So
Oh,
defensiveness, reactivity, totally. Yep.
especially I think of the many I know that you work with women, I work with women
Mhm.
as well,
Mhm.
and men in the divorce realm, not
Yeah.
necessarily in life coaching, but they feel, so powerless in
Yes.
making the decisions. They think, "Well, if I had a lot of money or if I had, someone helping me or"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
those are lies that people can believe. You don't need a lot of money to
Yep.
begin being focused and being
Yeah.
purposeful in your life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just so it's those
Yeah.
powerful questions that can be asked that really get you thinking in a way that you haven't before. So
Exactly. Can I say one more question
sure.
here? Because I think it really fits that. If you're stuck thinking your circumstances have to change in order for you to be okay, I want you to answer this question for yourself. What would I do if I was in charge?
Mm,
What would I do if I was in charge right
yeah.
now? Okay. No
Mm,
circumstance change, but now posture yourself in charge.
yeah.
Just interesting,
Love
interesting vantage
it.
point.
Totally love it. And to be honest with ourselves, I think a lot of
Yeah,
us too have a real hard time being honest with ourselves.
it's so
And maybe
true.
yeah, maybe that's coming from a relationship that we've been oppressed, or
Yep,
maybe even in our childhood home that we
yep,
felt oppressed and never able to really vocalize our
yeah,
anger, our dreams, our goals.
yeah. There was a cost that we ended up paying for being honest or for trying to use our voice. Yeah,
Right.
completely.
And
Mm.
so we, as grown adult women in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s,
Yes.
hard time being honest with ourselves.
Yep.
So to have someone
Hmm.
like yourself help you
Hmm.
questions to help you be honest with yourself,
Yeah.
to discover, you know what? I'm living a life that I really hate.
Yeah.
Why why am I doing that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking thoughts that I really, if I
Yeah.
was, if I was in charge, I would say I don't agree with them. Why do I
Mhm.
keep doing that? Yeah.
Right, right. So good,
Yeah,
so
for
good.
sure.
Here's,
Mhm.
something I'd love to ask you. What's the difference
Mm.
between a life coach and a counselor?
Yeah. So I feel like the best way to understand the difference is to think about it being A, okay, so A, it's a different stage in your growth journey.
Mhm,
So, and also B, it's a different energy. So if you picture yourself standing in your present, okay, you're
mhm,
standing in your present, but you're typically facing your past. Your your wounds, your pain, the past experiences that you've been through, like um, they just are really haunting you. You find yourself facing your past most of the time. There's a lot of hurt there for you on a daily basis. That energy and that motivation is mainly therapy and counseling would be a great, great fit to support you in that stage of your growth and your healing. And but if you are standing in your present, you've done work to move past your past, but you're standing in your present and you're facing your future. And you're like, I would love to get there. I would love to put more words to that. I would love to describe that better for myself, what I think I'm moving toward. I just don't know how. I don't know how to get there. Oh,
mhm.
I've got these kind of these bad habits. Like I keep trying to drop them. Like I keep trying to move forward, right? But I just don't know how to get there.
Self
That energy is coaching. Yeah, what did you
yes.
say, Kathy?
I'm sorry, self-sabotage.
Yes, exactly. You're
Mm,
trying to move forward, but there's things that are keep stopping you and you lose your trust in yourself and your
mhm,
anxiety goes up.
mhm,
That is a
mhm.
coaching fit. Really good coaching fit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. So, what type of issues do you typically work through as a life coach?
Yeah. So I actually love even what you spoke of before, women who've lost their sense of themselves.
Mhm,
Like, who am I as a woman? Who am I being? Why do I care about the things that are on my to-do list like every
right,
single day? Why did I set or allow these goals to be set for me, like the goals for my life that I think I need to achieve or I think I need to get?
mhm,
Why did I do that? Why do I want those things? Who am I? Like, what do I want for my life? So a lot of that role clarity of like, these are my roles, but this is who I am as a person. I'm bringing this me to my whole life. So more like integration, where you get to be your real self in every area of your life and
mm,
really feel aligned. I love to help women who have gotten kind of lost in their roles, like I just said, or stuck kind of in the hustle productivity at the expense of everything else, tyranny of the urgent, high
mm,
anxiety. If this is kind of your daily life where you're like
yeah,
juggling things a lot or you're over busy, you're overwhelmed, I love to help women stop, pause, and wake their dream up from the inside out, right? Where they get to realize life does not have to look this way and it does not have to feel this way.
Mhm.
I work a lot with women on, like learning more about their personality.
Mhm.
They get to learn more about brain science and why their brain is attacking them at all turns, but also how God designed our brains to help us and really benefit us when we step in and take charge of that and steward our brain and steward our life. So like, I just love to help women learn this like new way that I feel like everybody was designed for,
Yeah.
um, of taking charge and living from the inside out. Yeah.
I love that. One of the questions that I ask in my, Redesigning Your Life class is,
Mm.
describe who you are without using roles.
Mm.
And
Yep.
people like, you can't say I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a professional, I'm a like, who
Right.
the heck are you?
Mm.
Because
That's
you haven't
right.
taken the time or you're so detached
Yep.
because you spent so much time in a negative relationship that
Yep.
took all of your energy.
Yep.
So I love this
Yep.
raw period, and that might sound, um,
Mhm.
awful, but I love the raw,
No, yeah.
all this chaos
Yeah.
means that I can reconstruct it
Yes.
instantly.
Yes, that's the wake your dream part, right? For me, that's what I'm seeing here too is like you have your real self, just she's never left.
Yeah,
And the Holy Spirit wants to reconnect you with her so her voice gets stronger and she gets to be in the driver's seat. Like, how would that feel if your real self got to be in your driver's seat?
really. And you
Yep.
start thinking of other people's expectations and
Yeah.
opinions,
Yeah. And that
direction.
just goes down.
Oh,
Yeah.
because everybody has an agenda for your life, right?
Everybody does. And think about it honestly, right? Like it goes two ways. You have an agenda for the people in your life. I
Mhm,
do,
mhm.
right? Like and that's something to watch and something to make sure like I'm not having a double standard for people in my life. I don't have a double standard for me anymore. I used to. I used to give myself this perfectionism standard, but
Mhm.
everybody else got so much grace, right? Like so much like they're a person, they matter, but somehow I'm acting like I don't matter. Like
Yeah,
that's what I hope for women to catch is like, where am I living in this double standard here? Because that doesn't even really make sense,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Next question, I love this
Yeah.
one. What
Yes.
what keeps us stuck?
Oh, yeah. Well, I would say a lot of things, but a lot of things that they start to make sense as you learn, like how to grow from a different angle. You're not like pressuring yourself to grow. What
Mhm,
keeps you stuck is honestly, I have three self things that I felt like God was really pulling my attention to and the things that were keeping me stuck.
mhm,
Self reliance.
mm,
Okay, that's isolating behavior, that's
yeah,
steamrolling behavior, that's thinking you need to do everything on your own, never asking for help, not getting the support you need, right? Self reliance, self protection.
mm,
Okay, that's like walling off. Sometimes I think that we need to just be cautious what we're calling a boundary, because a
mhm,
boundary is something we freely communicate to other people, but a
yeah,
wall is something that we put up and we don't let any conversation happen around it, right? So catching that too. So self-reliance, self-protection, and self-punishment.
well, speak to me about the self-punishment. There's
Self-punishment. So I've realized very tricky ways that I do that for me. And this is just me living from the inside out, this kind of newer way for me. Like in the past 4 years, I've really stepped into this for myself.
Mhm,
Self-punishment is when I self-sabotage would be in that.
mhm,
Self-punishment. It would also fall into self-protection, just depending on your motivations.
mhm,
Self-punishment is me saying, "Oh, I'm a garbage human being. Oh, I'm so bad at this. I always fail at this. I have this terrible track record. I may as well just keep doing the same garbage stuff.
mhm,
May
mhm.
as well. It's
Yeah,
going to happen to me anyway."
right, right.
Self punishment is pre failing. This is something that I specifically do.
Mhm,
I am shooting for things I really want to achieve, results I really want to make happen. And when I am in self-punishment mode, I'm expecting myself to fail and I'm letting that thought be in my driver's seat. And I start to get really anxious, really intimidated, really in dread. And I
mhm,
beat myself down before the thing even happens. So
Mm,
I'm pre-failing, I'm condemning myself
yeah.
before, right? Before being vulnerable and taking the risk.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's these like inner things that it's the inner story we're telling ourselves.
Right.
That's what keeps us stuck. What
Yes.
story is in your driver's seat? What are
Mm,
you thinking about you in this stuckness that is staying in your driver's seat? Because that is nine, I don't even want to say 9 times out of 10. I would say 10 times out of 10.
yeah,
Your thought and the story in your driver's seat are what are keeping you stuck.
for sure, and understanding that that voice that you may hear in your head is one that you heard in a
Yeah.
bad relationship
Yeah.
or as a child in an abusive situation, so
Very good point.
have
Yep.
to understand that. Okay,
As an
here's
adult, real quick, as an adult, you have the agency to change that narrative. It
yeah,
does not feel that way. Those thoughts and those old stories can feel like they have just out of the gate power over you, but
mhm,
they don't. God made your brain neuroplastic so that every time you think new thoughts and you pursue growth in that mind space,
mhm.
it's going to matter that you're repeating truth to yourself.
I love it, and you help them, give them the techniques and tools
Yes,
to do.
exactly. Exactly.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
I've got great girlfriends.
Yes.
I can't just me and my girlfriends figure it out.
Oh, let me just say mad props to all of the amazing women friendships. I love women friendships.
Yeah.
So you could, but has it worked till now?
Mhm, mhm.
What's missing from that? What are you maybe not getting from that, right? And
Yeah,
it obviously goes back a little bit to what we were saying. Like we're all human beings, right? Like we can't help but have some kind of a bias, some kind of advice we always want to give to the people that we care about, people in our lives. Something really important about your change is that you feel in charge of it and you feel an autonomy in it. And that is something that's super rare, super hard to find just in an organic friend back to back, like a back and forth conversation.
mhm,
It's not that people don't mean well. It's just that that's not how our conversations
mhm.
typically work with each other, right? A coaching conversation is a very specific type of thing where you're really getting to use your voice in a way that um, just isn't really organically happening, I
Yeah,
would say. What do you
and
think, Kathy?
it's also I totally agree, it's also a confidential, safe, and sacred space.
A billion percent. You
Yeah,
don't have to. That's the other thing with friendships. That's a really good point. You never know who might say what part to who. There are some friends that you talk to about certain things, but maybe not others. And then you're like sort of torn when you're dealing with some of these layers of real life stuff.
yeah,
And that is 100% something that coaching and therapy both have in common is the confidentiality. Yeah.
mhm. And a space to that's non-judgmental. I know that that's
Exactly.
what I work with when I'm coaching
Yeah.
individuals or in our support group. I always say, "If you're
Yeah.
gonna talk about anything you hear, talk to God in prayer about it."
That's
But
so beautiful. I totally agree. There's something very healing about having a human being who is there to honor whatever you have to say.
yes,
Whatever you have to say. It's one of the most powerful forms of unconditional love I've ever experienced in a human like interaction.
yeah,
Being coached, I would say. So
yeah,
that is what you can expect. That's a huge benefit.
and we need that. And
Yeah.
I love what Dr. Kurt Thompson says, that we as individuals need to be seen,
Mhm.
soothed, safe, and secure.
Mhm.
And it's like those 4 things really sum
Yeah.
it all up.
Yeah,
That's what we
they do.
need. We need to feel and we need for others to feel that we're in relationship with and our
Yeah.
children, and we
Yeah.
all need to we all need those, so
Yeah. I've
okay.
had clients, come to me for a specific reason to work something out.
Mhm.
Then inevitably we kind of dig in deeper and they actually have something they've never worked through, never wanted to work through. They thought they could kind of take it to the grave, right? Like it's this thing, but it's part of their life, right? So it becomes part of our growth work. And I get to give them that safety that they
Mhm.
didn't know they needed.
Yeah.
And that to me is it's a very sacred part of this work too. Like I
Mm,
want to always embody a person who is giving that, holding that space for any truth that gets uncovered, because that's how God works. That's how growth works
yeah,
too.
Even the ugly ones, even
Um,
the really
a
difficult.
billion percent. I've had clients say, I think you're going to fire me after this. Like, I am deathly afraid of sharing this with you. And I want them to know every time this is the Holy Spirit's work. This is not about me and you. This is about you needing to unearth this and get this out on the table, because lies can't live in the dark, you guys.
Right.
Lies can't live in the dark. So don't let them stay there. But obviously, you have to have a safe person. And I love being a coach because I know I can offer that there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Have to have a safe person.
Yep.
The question really, it's
Yeah.
conversation's a good segue into this. How
Yeah.
does faith come into the role of life coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit different depending on what client I'm working with. I think it really matters to me to honor the person that I'm working with. I come from a Jesus following Christian perspective myself. That's what informs my life and how I make sense of life.
Mhm,
But at the same time, there's so much in our human design that is underlined. The fact that you are deeply loved and you have an identity that is designed for you to rediscover that in adulthood and heal your relationship with yourself.
mhm,
So I think that there are some really special, particular ways that faith does come into life coaching. An enormous deal for me, like one of my soapboxes, is definitely that you as a person, that you're bringing your spiritual beliefs into practice with your practical real life on a
mhm,
Tuesday.
mhm.
I think that to honestly like respect who you are as a person, you're respecting the mind, body, spirit design. You have those three voices inside of you on purpose for a reason. And I think especially in like American culture, it's very difficult to consistently live our lives with all three of those voices. Like, that's what we get to live in and hear clearly over the course of our regular day. There are just so many other things that are coming at us from the outside
Yeah.
that don't have anything to do with listening to yourself
Mhm.
and honoring your spiritual beliefs. And I think faith is an enormous deal. I think like when the Bible talks about taking your thoughts captive,
Mhm, mhm.
I think it's all about this: what keeps me stuck? Take
Yeah.
your thoughts captive and see what that changes. And I need you guys to know too, like, I've been on this road, like, this is firsthand experience that I'm speaking from. This isn't book learning. This is me having to say okay to an overhaul of my priorities, an overhaul of how I do life, and to practice new practices that really like they ramp up rest, they ramp up stillness and peace and calm and decisiveness and
Mhm,
confidence. These have to be
mhm.
shown in my actions toward myself and how I do my routine and all of that. So I think faith and life coaching, they were made to go together.
Let me share something,
Please. Yeah.
um, that I've realized and really came to light this past week when I was leading a group of single moms at camp all week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One something in which you have done in the past,
Mm-hmm.
Annalise, is that if we keep busy, then those emotions will not surface, and we won't
Mm-hmm.
deal with all the hard stuff. That's an awful way to live.
I was just going to say, how miserable does that make you?
Yeah,
Being honest with yourself, how miserable does that make
yeah, yeah.
you?
But
Hmm.
when you take time to do the intentional work to deal with that stuff,
Yes,
then we rip away its power, and
totally.
it empowers us so incredibly.
I totally agree. I don't know if you, I want to see if you follow this, because this is just an example, a picture that came to me of like, this is what it feels like when you feel like you're needing to outrun your feelings so that they don't take hold of you. It
Mhm.
feels like there's a fire breathing dragon like right behind you, right? And you're
Yeah.
constantly trying to out hustle it, outrun it. But
Mhm.
I realized doing this work, when you reprioritize that you want to take that power away, it's like you're stopping for the first time in your life and
Mhm.
you're turning around to face the dragon that is breathing fire at you. And
Yeah.
I promise you, every time you do that, and that's why, like, every time you do that, you're going to see it's just a hologram.
Mm. Yes.
It's not even real. It's not real fire. It's not a real dragon. it's a lie. It's a pressure feeling that's actually a lie because, the truth will set you free. That
Yes.
honesty of facing that feeling and letting God come in and kind of heal your relationship with that too, of saying, God is saying, I made you capable of
Yeah.
facing all of your reality because I
Mm.
want you to know that all of you belongs to me. You
Yeah.
belong with me, right? And he wants you to know you belong in your life. He gave you authority in your life. So I love what you're talking about this, those habits we have of just trying to outrun something that seems harder.
Mhm.
But our brain is trying to tell us that what we're currently living in is not hard. That's
Right.
not true. There's a reason I want this to change, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And to be able to I love that. So, so very important
yeah,
because God wants us to live free. He doesn't want us to live
yep.
burdened with burdens that we can't handle.
That's
I've
exactly right.
Yeah, I found in this work, there are some
Mhm.
really heavy stories that I hear and you
Yeah,
hear as well,
yep,
and it's like,
yep.
I can't take that in, and it's too heavy for that person to handle, and that
Honestly, yeah,
yeah, and that's when we usher it to God and say, "God, I can't handle this
yeah,
burden," but He can. He
yeah.
so I wanna
Good.
finish our time together
Yeah.
with just a couple of verses that feel
Yeah.
free to comment on, but I think they're so
Mhm.
helpful
Mhm.
as we understand how God really does want us healed. He does want
Right.
us free. He does want us powerful.
Wants to renew our minds.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Where there's no guidance, the people fall, but in
Mm,
abundance of counselors, there's victory.
mhm. I
And
love that.
I do too, because you need counselor. We all need counselors.
And I just want you guys to know too, on a brain science perspective, your human brain is not made to evaluate itself with great clarity.
Mm,
Okay. That's why we need to be verbalizing what's going on in us and sharing our process, sharing what we're going through. That's why we need to do that. And with the counselor, specifically somebody who is knowledgeable and somebody who's there to be a wise voice back to us. So I just want to say too, like it's underlined in brain science why that is true.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
And that's true for all of us. We
Yep.
never get to the point to where we don't need other people and need other
Nope.
counselors.
We were designed that way. Yep.
This is one of my favorite verses. In fact, it's in front of, my Suddenly Single book.
Mm,
"Behold,
mm,
I will do something new.
mm,
Now it will
mm.
spring forth. Will you not be aware of it? I will even make a roadway in the wilderness, rivers in the desert." So God says,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna do something new, and it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So don't
Yeah.
out on what
No.
for you."
And it's true for you whether you feel it or not. That's
Mhm,
the other thing that I hope that I know that my clients take away. I hope they do, and I know they do. But it's that knowing that your feelings do not disprove what God says is true. He's going
right.
to make a way where there is no way, and He's talking
Mhm,
about it in your head. He wants to make a new thought way in the wasteland or the wilderness that you've been going through in your head too.
yeah, I love that. So that, roadway in the wilderness could be our brain
Yeah.
pathways, right?
That's true. That's so amazing. Yeah, that's true.
The next one. I love this because we think
Mm,
we're after all of the satisfaction and pleasures out in the world,
yeah.
and yet God holds them in His hand. "You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence and eternal pleasures at
Mm,
your right hand." So
mm,
God is holding that peace, that direction, that
that's
focus,
right.
purpose. So we should be running to Him and not
Yep.
from
There's no formula that exists outside of him.
Him.
He's the source. It's
Mhm.
such a beautiful thing too, because that I believe that's what he means by, hey, have faith in me like a kid would have faith in me. It gets to be that simple sometimes. And sometimes it needs to be because what we're going through is a whole puzzle and
Right.
it's very heavy. And I
Mhm.
love that verse too, the path of life. Like God's going to show me the path of life. I don't have to figure that out myself. So
Mhm.
that's another thing coaching is, it's kind of a cool tool for that too. It helps you discern that. Like, how do I know I'm hearing the voice of God? Well, let's talk about it. What's telling you that you are hearing the voice of God,
Mhm.
right? It's
Mhm.
just such a cool experience, man. It's very transformational. Yeah.
Yeah, the light bulbs go off all the time, I'm sure, as you
Yeah.
speak with people. "For
Yeah.
I know the plans I have for you," declares the
Mm.
Lord. plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Don't we love Jeremiah
Mm,
29:11?
mhm. Yeah, it's
It
so helpful because again, when you're thinking about like, how do I even change anything right now?
mm,
It begins with who do I think God is?
yeah,
Who do I think I am?
mhm,
Look at what he wants for you. It is true. And I can tell you, I was a skeptic, like, of how practical do you want this, God? Because I get these things in concept, right?
mhm,
Oh, yeah, beautiful. Yep, plans to prosper me. Well, the hope in the future, that's obviously heaven. So I don't know how much sense that makes here, right? Like, I'm thinking so much about my world has to change, but he wants to change me and bring me into knowing this promise in my real life. And he wants that for you too.
yeah, and there's so much comforting knowing that he has a plan for you,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's a good one. It's a
Uh, he made you. He
yeah,
knows what's possible for you
mhm,
beyond what you think is possible for you. And that's the cool thing about breaking your brain when it comes to growth and stepping outside of your comfort zone when it comes to growth. Like, please step outside of your comfort zone because that's just keeping you limited. Yeah.
absolutely. Take those risks.
Yep.
Annaliese at wakeyourdreamcoaching.com. I hope you will take the
Mm,
opportunity to reach out to her, and just see what it's all about, how it might help for you. You
yeah,
probably take phone calls or emails and, maybe
I do.
okay,
Yeah.
an opportunity for them to ask questions
Mhm.
of you. I
Anything that anybody wants to send, I've got an open door policy with that with my email. So please
okay,
send that over. I'd love to help you right where you are. And anybody's first session is completely free. It's an hour with me. And we half of it is coaching on exactly what you're going through. So
I love
definitely take me up on that.
yeah, I love that too because I do the first hour free as well, just to
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sometimes it's only the hour that they need,
Agreed.
and
That has happened too. Yep.
yeah, and that's okay,
It is.
because we just want you healthy.
Yes.
We want you, to live the life not as a reflex to your own life,
That's
but a
right.
life that has purpose,
Yeah.
and goals, and dreams, and is healthy enough to take the necessary risk to
Yep.
step into that new
Yep.
life.
You've been doing hard things, just do the hard things that are gonna bring you satisfaction and abundance.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
make that switch.
I love that. Last minute thoughts,
Mhm.
Emily.
Honestly, I think we covered some really good stuff. I just really appreciate you having me on, and I do care so much. Um, Everything that I've been going through, it's made to be passed on, man. I am not an exception to the rule, and I wanna show you how this works. So please feel free to reach out.
I love it. Thank you so much for being with me today, Annalise.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. And we will see you next time on Divorce Support Anonymous,
Mm.
where I am walking with you every step of the way through the trauma of divorce and life after divorce.